Well, it's 2016, which means we've just said goodbye to 2015. And I've got to tell you, I'm very, very grateful for so many wonderful experiences that actually occurred in 2015. And I want to share them with you so that you can get a sense of what actually happened and maybe the interactions that we actually had along the way. January was great. We started with this notion of DICEP, developing your creative and entrepreneurial potential, working with Emma and John at UTAS, offering a unit about enterprise and creativity to all students. And we had a pretty good go, I think, at getting this thing. There's lots to do to make it an even better unit, but I think we started the process pretty well. Then it was time to head off on the plane and head to the UK and to go and catch up with Harry Matley, always a joy to get some mentoring from Harry. Peter Harrington, always a joy to catch up and see what he's doing to try and change the face of enterprise education and all around the planet. And then there was that opportunity to head through to London and to talk about an emerging project related to Macedonia with the Penalunas, and we bumped into Francis along the way, which was nice to have that little bit of spark around the thing. We thought we actually saw Alison Price, but it turned out to be an entirely different Alison Price, so let's not worry about that. And then it was time to head down to Wales, where we did some work with the faculty at the University of Wales, Trinity St David. And guess who just happened to pop in and say g'day? Always a privilege when the great man himself, O.B.E. Gibson, calls in and has a chat. And so that started the year off in a really nice way. February was time to come back. Come back to Tasmania, have some nice family time. Didn't last for long though, because then it was time to get back on the plane and head to Helsinki. Now Helsinki is a beautiful place, but it is cold. And I'm not sure I actually took appropriate clothing. There's a lesson there for the next time. But the welcome that I received was incredibly warm from Eleanor and Mina. And the people that I met, like Ted Dinsmith and Timor, absolutely fantastic. And to have an opportunity to address the Finnish Parliament was an absolute privilege, and the feedback and interaction from that experience was just wonderful. That led us on to back into Edinburgh, caught up with Karen Lawson to have a quick chat about the Dangerous Ideas Festival that was looming and coming around in sort of June, I think it was going to be. And then through to Perth to catch up with the Scottish Entrepreneurship Educators Program with Carol Langston and her gang, and to do some thought-provoking conversations and the like with an incredibly professionally run and just wonderful group of educators. So what a great start to the year. March gave me the opportunity to come back and actually just spend a bit of time slowing things down. Footy season started, which meant, of course, Delson was out there getting a kick. Family times, opportunities just to sort of look at things and do things with the family, and DICEP was well and truly underway, and we were getting feedback from students and trying to make sense of what was actually happening there. April rolled around. That meant much more footy. It meant Anzac Day celebrations here. It meant Gar, my lovely wife Catherine's birthday, and that meant an opportunity to get out and see some of the beautiful Tasmanian scenery. May rolled around. All of a sudden it looked like the year was halfway gone. Delson was still getting plenty of footy kicks. The football also rolled into town, and there was an opportunity for me to have one of those privileges to go off and sell the University of Tasmania to potential students and other institutions in Singapore and Malaysia. And that was fantastic. I always love meeting those students and seeing what they're capable of, and I love the food that's in Malaysia. When I came back, and the other thing, of course, that happened in Malaysia was found the time just sitting in a hotel to think, why not start a podcast show? So banging out episode 36 or 37 tonight as well. And so that's been going really well. We've had fantastic feedback from all around the planet, and been really pleased to have that process, thereasonableenadventurer.com. If you haven't come across it, check it out. You may enjoy going back and looking at some of the back episodes. And May was finished off by going to our local event here, AgFest, where I had the opportunity to talk to lots of children and lots of people from the land about the role of innovation. It was great to do that with my colleagues at the Australian Innovation Research Centre. June popped up on us, and we had Dark Mofo coming into town. Really entrepreneurial festival, which now has sort of become very embedded in our society here in Tasmania, and that was fantastic. Then I was back over to the UK, opportunity to do some work with the IMA, a mathematics organisation, wonderful invitation from Mina, which was well accepted, and got the chance to think about being entrepreneurial in a mathematics context, and I met two incredibly entrepreneurial educators from Melbourne, Jody and Yvonne. And it was fantastic meeting their acquaintance and actually seeing what they're doing in their classrooms to actually make things happen. Then straight down to Macedonia to actually get on boots onto the ground and make a start in seeing what we could do with a project to actually put in place a curriculum for entrepreneurship education across all high schools and to work with the educators who would be involved. From the word go, we had Kath and Ellen mucking about with statues. They blended right in, no real surprises there. Radnell entertained us and helped us to understand the context, which was fantastic. I most probably had to give Ellen and Kath a history lesson on who one of the world's greatest actors was. No real surprises there. Errol Flynn, Tasmanian. And of course we met Elvis, which was fantastic. We got to spend time with the educators, which was wonderful, and of course, as always, sad to say goodbye to Andy and Kath. July rolls around, and we're going in the other direction now. Now it was over to America, went to Portland, caught up with Steve Strauss, as you would imagine, perfect host, had an opportunity to spend some time with some craft beers, which was always a delight, before heading a bit further north and heading up to Calgary, where we did some work with the and really privileged to be amongst people doing work in the Go Deep Scholars program, which is for entrepreneurial educators from all around the world. Met some wonderful people there, beyond just going off and looking at some incredible scenery, also met some incredible people, and I continued now to work with Kevin and Rebecca, which has been fantastic. At the end of July, we all got incredible news about Andy Penaluna receiving the Enterprise Award from the Queen for his work in enterprise promotion. So, fantastic, Andy. Absolutely. I mean, it made us all feel fantastic. August was about going back the other way to Geneva to do some work with the World Economic Forum, with the Global Shapers Movement, and that was fantastic. It was really interesting. I was mostly working with people a fair bit younger than me, but incredibly energetic. I got allocated to a really cool tribe. We got to know each other really well. We spent some really good time, and we got to start to understand the values of the Global Shapers organisation. And those values are passion, integrity, service to your community, cooperation, and commitment. If you're interested in those type of values and entrepreneurship, look up Global Shapers in your community. Join it if you're 20 to age 30, and if it's not there, start it. Become the founding curator in that actual space. September saw an opportunity to call into my good friend Gian Franco Walsh and his family in Cella, before heading over to Liverpool and doing some work at the John Moores University and having wonderful time with Hilary and David before heading to IEEC conference, and which is always my highlight of the year, I think. The International Entrepreneurship Education Conference is, without doubt for me, the best place to meet the people in my field, my vocation, and to work with people. Unfortunately, of course, this year, now that Tom Williamson has been out of the role of organising this thing, you know, he let loose, he cut loose, and you know, people had to sort of look after him. So thanks, Megan, for actually taking care of Tom. And you know, there it was again. David just kept popping up all throughout this year, trying to teach Kath how to dance. Don't think that went very well. The interesting thing that happened in September, of course, was an invitation to call in and have a chat to the guys at QUT in Brisbane and to think about what might be possible going forward in terms of working with those guys. So that was super exciting. October saw me heading back the other way, going to the University of Tampa to do some work with Rebecca White and Kevin Moore. And Rebecca and Giles were fantastic hosts. They First thing they did was they sent me off to an event called Fuck Up Nights, which was pretty interesting. I've heard about this from some of my friends in El Salvador, but actually going into that environment and watching people talk about the mistakes they've made and what can be learned from that process was absolutely fantastic. Had an opportunity to do some teaching with some of the classes in Tampa, and that was great. Incredible entrepreneurship centre that they've got set up there. Before Kevin did what only Kevin could do and took me out on a highly organised beer tour. And all I can say was I survived it, but I think only just. Just as well because it got me off and heading to my first gridiron game. And I got to say, gridiron, something that I thought didn't make any sense, actually made sense if I was there. Like most things, experiential education, could see it, it actually made sense. Anyway, much more to be done with the people and the good folks at University of Tampa. Really excited to actually see what we can actually move forward. October finished with me heading to the World Entrepreneurship Forum in China, in Hangzhou, and it was great, as always, to catch up with so many great friends, Fernando, beer, friends, beer, and more friends. Fantastic. That must have brought us through to November. November was actually about finishing off some of my research in the Philippines, and always a pleasure to be able to sort of combine family and work and to get those two things tonight. December's been an interesting month. December was about getting boxes, packing them up, finding a place to live in Brisbane, being welcomed into the family at QUT, and of course having to say goodbye to many of the people that I love so much here at UTAS, and specifically all my dear friends at the Australian Innovation Research Centre. But many new adventures for the family, for Delson and for Tasha, and all in all, I look back at the year and I think to myself, I'm incredibly grateful for yet another year of 14 years that I've actually had at UTAS, where I've been able to get out, travel the world, meet so many incredible people, work with people. I do have some regrets when I look at the year. DICEP, I think, has got incredible potential, and I do have the regrets of not being able to sort of continue on with that. But I know with Emma and John and hopefully Chris coming into that team, it's in good hands in that thing. I also started doing a lot of work in discussion space with Steve Wally, who's a fantastic person in the education space here in Tasmania. And I will be regretting the fact that I won't be working directly with him as much, but hopefully we can keep that going on. So I'm glad I've got an opportunity to fail. That's what 2016 is for me, an opportunity to fail. QUT have given me an opportunity to fail. That's all you can ever ask for, an opportunity to fail. I'm looking forward to being able to find better balance in my work and family life, spending more time with my family. And if I have to nominate one highlight for the year, it was getting a little text message from Andy Penaluna saying cheers to me when he'd been off to Buckingham Palace and received his award. I think it makes us all, as entrepreneurship educators, really appreciate that there are people out there who truly recognise and understand what it actually is we do. To us all in that space, let's keep doing what we're doing. Let's keep pushing the envelope. Let's see what impact we can actually have on so many other people's lives. I wish you all the best, and I hope that 2016 is a year full of adventure and opportunities to fail. Cheers.